Hello everybody, it is Wednesday the 20th of December. I want to talk about this idea of unconditional love, and especially the unconditional love contained within the white light, which is unconditional love born out of ignorance. I want to talk about where we came from, what this is, and how the knowledge that is being gathered in this world is being used by those that want to have dominion over this world, over worlds, really. God in the Bible is the will to have dominion, and he gathers knowledge that would serve that intention. And when they are now going into spiritual knowledge, then this war that is going on here is going to reach a completely new level. I want to show you this. So let's start with the love of the Creator, the love of the white light. You know, when you are in this blissful feeling of love. Okay. If you are in that state where there is no form around you, there is no form at all, and you feel unconditional love for the underlying reality, yeah? Creator raw, where there's no form. That love, feeling of love, is being born out of ignorance. Complete ignorance. You do not know what is contained in that light. Creator is that out of which everything is created. Yeah? It is all possibilities. It creates all manners of consciousness, which consciousness would be a state of knowing. Yeah? So you are actually unconscious in that white light. You don't know yourself, you don't know what you're in. The act of creation, as described again in the Bible, when God speaks to matter, matter is already there. It is unformed, but it is there. And matter forms itself according to the Spirit of God. Yeah? So matter creates an image of the Spirit. It makes the Spirit known. It makes it into a solid reality. It gives it a form. Yeah? So when you come here, it's basically you're coming out of the indifferentiated white light into a solid knowing of what is around you. It was around you there, you just couldn't see it. You didn't know it. But now it has been given form, and you're in it. And you had unconditional love out there. And now that you are confronted with the solid reality of what you were in, how is your unconditional love doing? Are you keeping it up? You just went from a state of ignorance into a state of knowing. That's what happened. And now how are you doing? I would say your love is being tested when you come here. Yeah? You can love in complete ignorance, and you can be blissful in complete ignorance, but will it stand up to a solid reality? Everything that is here is spirit. Everything that has a form here was contained in the white light. It came here and it was given form. It was there all the time. But now that you are confronted with the solid reality of it, can you still love it? I have heard somebody say, you shouldn't love things. You should only love them when they have reached the state of perfection. Again, that's not unconditional love, obviously. It is conditional on that it must be perfect before you can love it. Yet, if this, again, is the Creator made manifest, then we can see that in this world everything grows from a seed, it grows into something, it grows up, it evolves, it constantly changes. In every state that a consciousness is in is Creator. Everything is Creator, and every state that it is in is Creator. So again, as long as you're in ignorance of what is around you, you can love it unconditionally. Fine, great, fantastic. Now that you're confronted with the reality that things are not all perfect, can you still love it? It is Creator at every stage. Can you still love it? I've heard, oh, unconditional love, it means you love everything because you know it is you. It's not. It is not you. They're all different possibilities existing in their own rights. They're not all you. And again, you see it in this world when it is solid reality, when you're confronted with the solid reality of it. There are things that are more like you, and you can relate to them a lot easier. Yeah? It's another human being is probably the easiest for us to understand and to know, because they are mostly like us. Then we're going down to other more removed forms of consciousness, like animals and stuff. We can still see ourselves in that, in part, not all, but in part we can still relate to them. The further out you go, the more different the form becomes. That means the consciousness itself is so different in its being from your state of being. Can you still relate to it then? And is your love conditional on that you must relate to it, that it must be like you? I think some of the heavens are built on that concept. Yeah, that those that are the same will flock together, which is a step up from the complete ignorance of the white light. So you actually are together in love, and you can already love something although you know it. Yeah? So that is one step up. You can already love it and you know it. That's good. But you can only love it if it is like yourself. So it's one step up from the white light, but it's still a very low level. I think your love is being tested when you come here. You can be blissfully in love when you're in complete ignorance. Will your love stand up to reality when it has created a solid form and you know it? Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is how that your knowledge is being used by those that want to have dominion over this world. Now, let's go back to Jesus and what those stories in the Bible tell you. They had knowledge of that state of detachment, of, again, going back to the white light, which is ignorance, but therefore in more blissful feeling of complete love, detached from the reality, what is actually contained in that white light. So they had an experience of that, and they tried to convey the knowledge of that experience, but they did not have the words. They did not have scientific words in which to describe it. We now have scientific words known out of our knowledge of the solid. We're now going into the knowledge of, vibration, brain waves, quantum. So we have now got words to describe what is happening. And now we have a Joe Dispenser going around, driving people into gamma brainwaves, which is again a very high vibration, which again takes you back to the light, into detaching you from the solid reality again, into a state of ignorance. And again, increasing the feeling of bliss whilst you're doing it. And from what I've heard, watch my last video, I've left the link. From what I've heard, you can induce that state at will. You can actually get people to reach that state on a command word. That is to say, you say a word and they will flip into that state, which is a state of ignorance, detached from the reality of what Creator is. You're going back into the state of ignorance. And the state of ignorance is something that will serve the will to have dominion. If you are in ignorance, they can rule over you. And that is where they're driving you, with that knowledge. Now, when Jesus was here, he was desperate to give this knowledge to somebody of authority, because he said this knowledge should serve something that wants to rule over. It should serve a ruler. And the first place he tried to give it to was the place of authority in that time, in that place, and that was the temple. And they did not understand. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. His Father was the ultimate will to have dominion up in heaven. The temple on earth was their representatives. They did not know what they were doing when they did not take that knowledge that should serve them to have dominion. It was they that he asked to be forgiven. They did not see that he was trying to give them a knowledge that would give them great power. They did not understand that. But if we have now a Klaus Schwab in this world that says, oh, you will have nothing and you will be happy, somebody has caught on here. There is an authority in this world now that understands how this knowledge can be used to rule over. And they're taking this to another level, to a spiritual level. As for Jesus, he was desperate that somebody should use that knowledge in this world to have dominion, and good for him, his will is being done now. His intention is being fulfilled. His vision is coming into being. Good for him. Now, there is a hook. They were fishers of man. Jesus were fishers of man. And there's a hook. And that hook is that in that state, healing does occur. And again, way back then, people were drawn to that, out of their natural love for one another that they had in solid reality. They brought their children, they brought their relatives to be healed out of the feeling of love and wanting them to be healed. But I really have a feeling that the more you stay in that state, the more it will draw you out, detach you again from the solid knowing of the Creator into the ignorance, into the white light of ignorance. And that's where they're reeling you in. They're catching you with a hook of healing, which is good. But then, say, stay in that state and we'll get better and better. No, it will detach you then more and more. They're reeling you in. So, but people are clambering over themselves now to get there again, aren't they? You know? Oh, let's all go back into the white light. We are all there ever was and ever will be. Yeah? We are beautiful light beings. Let's all go back into that, our natural state, the state that we came from, which was a state of complete ignorance. Let's all go back there. It is the highest state of enlightenment. It is the highest state of ignorance. And if you can only love something because you know nothing about it, yeah, you just know it as a white light and a great feeling, and you're completely ignorant of what is contained in there. But then you can full on love it. Unconditional love is the lowest form of love. If your love doesn't stand up to reality, you don't have love. But here's the last thing, and this is, why did you come here? What is it you were looking for? Did you come to get a greater understanding of love, or to make your unconditional love stronger by testing it against reality? If you came from a place that wanted to have dominion over this world, they're not interested in love itself. That's not their intention. Their intention is not to love. The intention is to have dominion, but to see how the knowledge, the workings of this can serve them to have dominion. And here it is. When they drive you back into ignorance, they can rule over you. They have realized that that is a state of ignorance, of not knowing. You know, and the fool is easiest to rule over. Right, there we go. That's where we're at. Can your unconditional love that you felt in a state of complete ignorance live up to the reality of what it is you're actually surrounded by? Or do you want to get back to the state because apparently ignorance is complete bliss? Or can you create that bliss whilst confronted with the reality, and then you would have reached a higher level of consciousness and a higher level of love? Can you do that? Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.